welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. Super excited to have you here. So this is our subject for today. What is your career path as a hairdresser? When you look in your rearview mirror in 1 year's time, where will you be? So today we're going to have a lively discussion. I have a very special guest who you're going to meet in a few moments as we dive into this really interesting conversation and we look at where are you going in your career. So let me make sure I've got all my bits and pieces sorted out here. I was having a few technical issues earlier, but now we're good to go, right? So when we come into this business, the question is, how do we arrive here? So for myself, I was a makeup artist, but prior to that, I was a ballerina. Hard to believe, but I spent my youth in theaters. I was fascinated by costume, and I decided, right, I'm going to be a makeup artist. And then I realized that my skills actually in makeup weren't that great. I was better as a sculptor. I wasn't 2-dimension, I was 3-dimension. A fabulous friend of my family said, if Vivian's going to go into the world of beauty, she needs to go to the London College of Fashion because that's where they train people for theatre. I thought I was going to have a career continuing in theatre. I did 2 years at the London College of Fashion. I had a job offer for the BBC. I knew the head of the wig department. Remember, people lead to people. And I thought, that's it. I'm going to be doing hair and makeup in film, in television and theater and everything else. I thought I was just going to do it all until one very sobering point, aptitude hit me hard, which we will discuss as we get into this profession and into this, this presentation today. So as I've looked at my career and I've journeyed from being a humble stylist to being very scared, stepping on a stage, to doing tons of video work and all the things I've done in my career, I never thought that my initial point would lead to where I am now, to helping the most amazing hairdressers in the world become the best version of themselves. And that's what we're going to be talking about today as we dive into this subject. So I would like to introduce you to a fabulous young lady, Lindsay Sneed, who has just been working with me. She's joined my art team. I'm very impressed with her skills, her talent, and her tenacity to just want to be fabulous. This is her first front cover that we did through a combination of some hard work and a photo shoot workshop. But let's just meet the fabulous lady. And here she is. Hi, Lindsay. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Apart from some technical glitches, we're good to go. Yes. And I'm really glad to have you here. Just tell everyone a little bit about your backstory before we dive into our subject.
Yes. Okay. So my backstory, I went to cosmetology school when I was 26. I, like a lot of other hairdressers, dabbled into college before I went to cosmetology school. I knew that I always wanted but my parents were not down. So tried college, didn't make it, went to cosmetology school. My institute director told me to apply at salon. So I did, but I wanted to be a colorist. And they didn't have any colorist positions available. So that's how I ended up getting into hair cutting.
Cool. Well, we're going to find out much more about Lindsay as we go on this journey here, but let's talk about our subject matter today. We're going to go through many different career options you have. So I, as I mentioned earlier, wanted to have a career in TV and film and even theater. That's where I thought I could use the skills I was about to learn. And then I realized that other doors were opening and there was something that stopped me from going into that. And I'm not going to tell you what that is right now. I'll tell you a little bit later on. Remind me, Lindsay, in case I forget. But what I do know about all the paths we're going to explore today together is that your attitude will be the most important thing you wear. How you show up every single day. And I don't mean this to sound preachy. I mean it to be that it is the most important thing you'll ever wear. And because I've seen myself so much on camera and heard myself so much in audio, I go, oh my gosh, no, I can't believe that. And, you know, when you see yourself separate from self, you get to learn a lot of things about, oh, didn't do that very well. So you can become sometimes your own worst critic, right? So where we go in our career is an absolute choice. No one's holding a gun to your head saying, you've got to do this. And what we see a lot of people floating from one idea to the other without commitment. Lindsay, how has that been for you when you've watched people in your world floating?
Yeah, they're not willing. I mean, they want to make all the money in the world, but they're not willing to put the work in.
Okay. So they're interested, but they're not committed.
Yes.
And where do you think they get the idea that it's just going to be this easy path?
I don't know, but I have worked with a lot of stylists that think everything should be handed to them.
Oh, okay.
And it's not reality. You have to work for it.
No, it's not. Maybe that's watching too much TV or too many reels. Quitting when it gets tough. Do you see a lot of that?
Yes.
Yeah. What about determination, grit? How much of that do you see?
I do see that in some people.
In some
And
people.
it's amazing. Yes.
Yeah, it is. And those are the people to hang out with, aren't they?
Yes.
Now, the winner's mindset, open to learn and grow, the ability to fail forward, and when you become incredibly successful, keep the ego in check, because I've seen amazing people rise to the top and be challenged to stay there. And let's kind of look at the world of celebrities. Very often you will see celebrities that have everything, right? And they climb to the top, they work really hard, and then they struggle in their personality to stay at the top. And it's often self-sabotage. So climbing the ladder to success is what we're going to be talking about today. Which ladder you should be climbing, because there's nothing sadder than climbing the ladder to success and then discover it's leaning against the wrong building. So we're going to break all of this down so that you can really understand the decisions you make. So they're not accidental, but they're much more intentional. When it's accidental, a lot of time can be wasted falling over, standing up, falling over, standing up. But when it's intentional, you go there much quicker. But you still have to put in the time and the work, and that makes it quite challenging, don't you think?
Yes.
We overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what we can do in a lifetime. And I think that this is so true, because why would New Year's resolutions fail? We think we can do everything that's planned, i.e. for 2025, only to realize that it's only the second week of January and nothing's happening, and so we quit. And I think that's the truth of what you really want to do versus what you should do. And there's a big, big difference between both of those. So again, we tend to overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what we can do in a lifetime. And that's really important. You know, just recently I was working with some people that were new to the razor, and they're very skilled, and they got very irritated with themselves because they didn't pick it up like that. And it's like, we just planted a seed in the ground. You've got to water it and nurture it and love on it and give it time, and it will grow into a flower. But you can't be angry at a seed because it hasn't turned into a flower. It needs time. Yes. And skill needs time. And where we're fooled today is by a reel and a very tight edit on a hairstyle, thinking it was easy and it's quick to do. And it's the biggest lie out there. And I know this from editing my own content of sometimes 2 hours and slicing it down to 15 seconds. It's ridiculous, right? Yet it entertains us. It gets the old endorphins going. It creates the addiction to click, click, click. And our attention and our retention are getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And in hairdressing, it takes time to foil an entire head of hair, to cut certain styles, to perm, to build hair pieces. It takes time. And that's what we're also going to slice away at today. So start here. For example, when we're looking here at our success path and we're looking at our journey, we have our path where this is the mindset of a winner. So I want you to just go along here and just tick, 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 tick as we go along. The mindset is a lifelong learner. Can we tick that? Give me a little heart in the comments if you can get that going. Come on, Kim. Come on, Vicky. Let's see if we can get that going. The next thing is challenges are an opportunity to grow. So the mindset to win is, here's a challenge, it's tricky, here's a problem, but it's a great opportunity to learn and grow. The next thing is the mindset of a winner, disciplined to do what it takes, not, well, I'll do it when I feel like it. Very, very different. Good habits. So the habits are the framework of your success. And when you have habits, you can measure the habits and say, this habit serves me, this one doesn't work. Move it away. This habit serves me, this is getting in the way of my goal, move it away. Because when we are aware of our habits, we have to ask ourselves, do they serve us or do they get in the way? Because we're today going to be talking about very specific career paths. And regardless of which one you take, you need the winner's mindset to be successful. Otherwise, you're entering the freelance world or the education world, and you don't have the tools to even go a year. So the other mindset of the winner is invest in time, don't waste time. A winner understands time is the one commodity you can't buy back. And so they take that time to say, how can I leverage my time to get more time? And that's the mindset of that winner. So when we look at that compared to, and we're getting some nice comments there, yes. Start here. This is the poverty mindset. Learning when convenient. Oh, I don't feel like it today. Press the snooze button. Excuses. Quit when it gets challenges. And the excuses can be, well, you know, the economy, the politics, the this, the that, my clients, my environment. Those are all excuses. There may be some reasons, but they're excuses for you to not move forward. The other thing that we have to look at when we're exploring this world here is that we're looking at blaming others for our failure. Well, I couldn't do it because my client wouldn't let me. Oh, I couldn't do it because of my boss. Oh, I couldn't do it because. And we come up with all of these excuses and they stop us from growing. Not enough money or time. Oh, I don't have the money for this. I don't have the time. And one that amuses me most is obviously the time issue. When people say to me, well, Viv, I'd like to train with you, but I don't think I could just show up every week to be trained by you for 2 hours. And I go, that's interesting. Because the average American person spends 2 hours a day on social media, which equals 30 days of the year. So you wouldn't give up just one of those days on social media for 2 hours with me versus endless scrolling that does not give you a result. And it's not that I have a dislike against social media. I know how to use it and I know how it can be abused or it can abuse me. So I don't want to spend my life watching other people. I want to create my own life. And that's the difference. Endless hours on social media, we've already spoken to that. So this is the circle that creates to self-destruction. And that mindset very often is attracted to other mindsets just like that. And it's the circle of misery because, as they say, misery likes company. So I would imagine that you guys showing up today, you're not in that mindset. So this is the interesting thing, the voice of regret. Wow, I wish I had done this years ago. I work with hairdressers now all over the world. I work with hairdressers brand new in the business and those who've been in the industry for quite some time. And when I share information with them, have discoveries, and we work through challenges, the feedback I get, especially from my more mature hairdressers, is if only I'd known that sooner. Why spend 30 years trying to hit a 6-figure income if you could do it in 5? You know, invest in yourself, not in your lifestyle. If you invest in you, your lifestyle will take care of itself. There's so many times we're distracted by the lifestyle attractions instead of investing in ourselves, and we'll get there a whole lot sooner. And the other one is, of course, you can't buy back time. And that is the biggest challenge that we have in our business. So these are really interesting circles that need to connect. And we're going to bring Lindsay in a moment to find out how she feels about this. So if you had the center as being your passion for what you do and your purpose, what brings you joy? What would you do without watching the time? What inspires you? Let's just start there. So first of all, you've got to love what you're doing. Love what you're doing. The next thing is you've got to have the natural talents and develop the skills in order to feed that love of what you do. And the third thing is compensation. You've got to be able to be compensated. So I meet, for example, lots of youngsters that want to work on fashion shows and they want to do photo shoots, both fantastic. Very hard to make a full-time living out of it unless you've really built an incredibly strong book, which takes a lot of time to do. It's possible, but I'm talking about years and years and years. Highly competitive market, and you're working from paycheck to paycheck. And while it's an amazing thing to go and do a fashion show and go and do photo shoots, you may love that. You may have natural skills for it. You may have natural talents as well. Can you get compensated for it? So I meet more freelance editorial stylists that are struggling to make money at it, and therefore they have their salon life, which pays their bill, and their photo shoot life feeds their heart. It's not their main source of income. So you have to really look at these circles looping. So I want to just challenge you right now. Write down, get a piece of paper or put it into your phone. This is kind of part of your vision board. What's your passion and purpose? What do you love? What do you feel are your natural talents and skills? And how much can you be compensated for what you do? So let me just bring Lindsay in, and let's find out from Lindsay what her passions are. So Lindsay.
My passion is creating a book. So I like to do the cut, the color, the whole thing.
And where do you feel your natural talents lie? Oh, we're losing you. Lindsay is just frozen for us.
Yeah.
Oh, you're freezing. We lost you.
Am I better?
Try again.
Okay. Am I good now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, I feel like I'm naturally more talented at color, and then I had to develop my hair cutting skills over time.
Okay. And you're well compensated for what you do?
Yes, but that took time too. I think if you work hard on yourself, the money will come.
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So passion creates possibility, action turns them into reality. I love this statement. So I highly recommend you start taking some screen captures, because that's going to be really, really important as we go through on this journey. So my husband, I'll tell his story. He came to the United States after he had left Austria. He was 19 when he left his original country, which was at war. He was an immigrant. He went to Austria, and from Austria had to learn how to speak German. Then he came to the United States and had to learn how to speak English. He was alone here. His family was still in his former country, learning to speak another foreign language. He put himself through university. He had 3 jobs so he could afford to live. His average hours sleep were 4 hours. As I mentioned, he went to university, no family support, and he learned how to survive. Now he has a beautiful business in the Hamptons. He has a celebrity clientele, Howard Stern, Billy Joel, Ivanka Trump, and many, many more. And when he was here at this place struggling, all he could do was think, how can I get through sometimes the next hour or the next day? And he wasn't a snowflake. He didn't melt in challenge. It gave him strength, because when he did enter this business, he was going to get another beating, because it was not an easy industry to go into. And he's a designer, a creator, and he makes these beautiful, beautiful rugs. So that determination, and when he tells the story, the first time I heard the story, I was like, it made my problem seem so small. And what I admired about him was his determination, and he was going to do whatever it took. There were no excuses, and it didn't matter if he was tired, he just would show up. So today, excuses take us off the road to success. You know, when we see an excuse in somebody else, we criticize it. But when we make the excuse, we just blame everybody else, right? Isn't that the way it goes? But at the end of the day, we're the ones that suffer in this whole challenge. So that's not a good thing. I just did some research before I built this presentation. Job satisfaction is at an all-time high. 50 to 70% are unhappy in their career, according to the Gallup poll survey. That's pretty sad. Do you notice that with your clientele, Lindsay? I think we have Lindsay frozen again. Oh, yeah, she's frozen in time. So yes, we have this huge challenge. So let's get into your career path, because I think that's what's going to be super important about this, your career path. So the first thing we have here is that we're going to be looking at, as a salon owner, let's put on the salon owner hat. Do you want to be in a major city? Do you want to be in a small town? Because if you're going to build a business, go to where you want to build. Don't plant yourself and root into somewhere that has a ceiling and going to hit that lid really fast, either the lid of the income within that area. If you were to do research on the highest volume of wealth in different areas around where you live, in a 100-mile radius, you have to make a decision. Do you want to go with where there's more affluence, more income, or do you want to be in the middle, or do you want to be at the lower end? That's a choice. That's research. Very easy to do today. So do you want to be in a major city, a small town? Do you want to be based in a hotel? I know many very successful salon owners that got a deal in a hotel, and they feed off of the guests who are coming through, et cetera, et cetera. There can be many features and benefits around that, because very often hotels want to have prestige, they want brands, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a very viable thing. A boutique salon, to be part of a chain, is your vision. I want to be a salon owner and I want a chain. I want to be able to franchise my concept. Do you want to be in a department store? I know many stylists who built in department stores. For example, Frederick Mackay, when he was with Chanel in their store. I know of several stylists who went into Bergdorf Goodman and had their time there. So they all come with their features and their benefits. Some have a built-in clientele. Many, many, many interesting places to go within that. So the first thing is, if you want to be a salon owner, where, why, how small, how big? What's that going to be? Do you want to have a very tiny boutique and create a system that's so strong that it can be multiplied? So that's the first thing that I want you to think about. So let's talk about here the qualities that come with this. So we're going to break this into categories. Personality and aptitude is kind of what you're born with. Skills are what you acquire and you learn over a period of time. So let's just start looking at the salon owner. To me, the most successful salon owners have great leadership. They inspire people to want to follow a vision and a culture. Management is important. When you are managing people, the leader may not be the manager, but a leader understands, yes, I need somebody to manage my people to make sure that they're happy and they're well supported so we can all grow together. Got to be a great team builder. It's not just about you being crazy busy behind your chair and passing over your extra clients to somebody. It's about everybody else growing. And the greatest salons are when, think of it like an orchestra. The conductor is the leader and the owner of the salon, and they know how to create sweet music with their entire orchestra, their staff, as they're playing their tune. So it's very, very different. Got to have vision, got to be a lifelong learner, and you've got to set high standards and sustain them. So let me bring Lindsay back in again. Let's see if Lindsay's got internet challenges today. Are you back with us, my love?
Yes, I am.
Good. So you're working with a company that's quite large, and you understand the systems and all of that good stuff. So talk to us about how you see what I just mentioned in terms of if someone's going to go into the salon, you've experienced this firsthand.
My company, we have from the owners all the way down through leadership management. Then there's individuals in each locations that are running a team. And sometimes there might be more than one person running it. But I like what you said. Everybody does have the same vision.
Yes.
And follows the standards.
Absolutely. So when we look at a salon owner's skills, number one, business skills, you've got to understand the finances. You've got to understand marketing and social media, because you've got to understand how to build the business. And it begins right from your real estate. Are you purchasing the real estate? Do you have a good lease? So many times I see salons upside down from the very beginning because their lease and their overhead is so expensive that they have to work so hard to just cover the cost of running their business. And the great thing about a hair salon is you can be a destination. You don't need to be on a main street. You don't need to have a high profile corner in a mall, whatever. It's about having a great business with a great outreach through your social media and your marketing, so people know that you're there, but it can be a destination. So the skills is enjoying business, it's enjoying those numbers, it's enjoying what that is. The other thing is good communication skills. You've got to have a natural gift for communication. You have this gift and you want to lead by example. There's nothing worse than seeing a salon owner telling their staff what to do and they don't do it. There's nothing worse than that. That's really flaky. Able to delegate, a goal setter. They're passionate about education. And again, I put in there, they are visionary. So these are things that you can learn and you can increase and expand. And if you want to be that salon owner, you can't think about me. You've got to think we. Very, very different mindset. Very different mindset if you're going to be successful and endure. So the commission salon. Now let's go to the stylist in the commission salon. You have a choice. Are you going to work in a major city, which means that you are going to work in a more high profile salon and you will have a higher ticket? A small town, unless it's in a wealthy niche area. I live really close. It's a place called Quogue. It's a very tiny village, and it is the most expensive zip code in the entire United States. It's a tiny village, but every house in the village is millions, plural. So I could work in a small village if I wanted to and just deal with extremely wealthy people. So that's a choice. When I first graduated from college, I thought I wanted to work on a cruise ship because I wanted to see the world. Thank goodness I did not do that. That would have been really scary. But anyway, think about commission salon, major city, small town, cruise ship, hotel. Going and being in a salon in a hotel. I have friends who work in Las Vegas at the big famous hotels there. They literally walk in and 3 months later, they are fully booked on high tickets because the volume of guests that come through. But they have to have the ability to work with strangers all the time because they're tourists and they don't have such a strong base of a regular clientele. They have more of a tourist clientele, but it's a consideration. Boutique salon, tiny, tiny boutique, chain salon, department stores. So again, when you look at the different avenues there are within a salon, they all come with their features and benefits. They all require skills of a certain level, but your aptitude and your personality may be snug in one area and not snug or not fit in another. If you are happy to cruise through your career, you don't want to be too challenged, you want to go somewhere safe, the corporate environment, either like a chain salon, could be a very safe place to go. But when you're in a smaller situation, it's a totally different energy. What do you feel about that, Lindsay?
In a smaller salon?
The whole range of where we go to select. I mean, is it something you even considered when you left school?
No, no, I liked the company because our institute, we have institutes and salons, and I just liked the company that I was working for. There were so many cool, like upper level hairdressers that came into the institute that inspired me there, and I just have faith in started working there, and I'm happy ever since. But I do think it's a good idea to do your research before you find a salon, because I got lucky.
Yes, you did. So
Yeah.
personality and aptitude, you're part of a community. So i.e., if you go and work in Las Vegas and you're going to be fully booked and you're going to be on a 6-figure income in the first year of doing hair, if you're good, you'll be part of that community. But that's not the community of like having regular Mrs. Jones come in every week, because you're in a tourist environment, right? You'll have a relationship, obviously, with your consumer. If you're going into commission salon, you're going to be a team player because it's about the team. Yes, you will have a fluctuating salary, although there are companies out there that give a set salary when you go more into the corporate world. So you have a set salary. So whether you're doing 50 clients in a week or 10 clients in a week, you'll have a set salary. But that model is less and less available. But it was a model at one time where it was just a salary you were having. You're okay with being so busy, and you're okay with quiet days, and okay under times of pressure. And in spite of all of that, there still is the routine of showing up at the same place every day, having your hours every day, and there are just holes in your day or no holes in your booking because of the weather is good, the stars are in alignment, and no one canceled, right? But you've got to be able to know how to handle that. And some people do well with that and some people don't. They can't bear being at work and not working. So, that's again where leadership kicks in to say, right, you don't have a client for 2 hours. How are we going to turn this into productive time versus you sitting on your phone, watching somebody else's life and actually getting depressed? Any thoughts on that, Lindsay?
Yeah. And two, like, work on building up your clientele, the less you'll have those gaps in your day, which is really helpful. I mean, I'm one of those people that hates sitting around, so it's nice to be busy. And then you get a more consistent paycheck too.
Yes, absolutely. So the skills you need to be a salon stylist in a commissioned salon. Consultation and style selection skills is critical, because you're not going to build a clientele if you don't know how to put the right hairstyle on your guest. And I would say so many times hairdressers are getting technical and they have not done a good style selection. So that would be the first place. Obviously, you've got your cutting, styling skills, a color expert, permanent wave specialist, hair extension specialist, wig expert, bridal, long hair. There's all of these different skills you can acquire to be a generalist or a specialist. And obviously, if you are a specialist, that means you're doing something that nobody else in town can do. So that's definitely worth considering. When we go back to those 3 circles, love, skill and aptitude, compensation, they all have to be in alignment to feed your passion for what you have. So that's very, very important. So the solopreneur. So one of the things you've noticed from the youngsters coming out of school is that they want to go in and become an independent immediately. What have you seen as the problem with this, Lindsay?
The problem is that they go off on their own with no mentor, no guidance, no clientele, no business skills, and they fail, and then they quit and they go and do something else.
Yes. Yeah. And really, when you think about it, when you can study and be mentored and guided by experts, you'll become the summation of who you surround yourself with. And that is such an important thing. 85% of young hairdressers leaving cosmetology school in 2 years' time have quit the industry. So the question is, why? Did they not go through the guidance that we're going to give you today to outline the difference between an aptitude and personality versus a skill? Did they think that it's all sugar-coated and they see it so easy on Reels that they think, I can do that? And not realizing that this is a craft where you are invested in lifelong learning in order to be successful. So I would say for our youngsters watching, if you're graduating from school, watch this webinar many, many times. We have an ebook that it goes with this, which we'll give you the information on in a moment, and check that out. But what I would say, the best place to begin any career to get your speed, your confidence, your communication skills, all of them up to speed, is to be in a full commission salon. a full commission salon, and a good one that has great training. And you've got to be absolutely invested in train. I would say it's a minimum of 5 years to get your basics sorted out. A minimum of 5 years. The United States has probably the shortest training of any hair education in the world. The UK is 3 years. Germany was 5. I'm not sure if it still is. Australia is between 3 and 4 years. Here in the United States, it's hours. Totally different. So you've got to put your time in, and you've got to get real about, you've got to work for this. Got to work. And I'm challenging you watching right now. Don't be the statistic of 85% after 2 years have quit. Don't be the statistic of 75% of people in the United States hate their job. Don't be that. So now's the time to get honest and get real. Let's not be little snowflakes that melt because someone gave you a weird look. Let's get real, because this is your life and this is your career. So a solopreneur, you've got to decide whether it's going to be a major city, a small town, a salon suite, the traveling hairdresser. We have them out here where I am, really cute little traveling caravans that go out from home to home, totally cool. Your home salon, or you're renting a chair within a salon. You've got to decide, because you're going to be working so hard in your own business. Now, the personality traits and aptitudes. First of all, you've got to be a jack of all trades. You've got to be your own receptionist and take care of your bookings. You're going to be working on minimum wage when you are doing that, and you're cleaning your salon, and you're folding the towels, and you're getting all of your products. You're also going to be that stylist doing beautiful hair. You're going to be the business owner. You've got to understand your numbers. You're going to be doing your social media and promoting. You are doing everything, unless you're clever enough to be able to build your business model to outsource certain things so that you can be focused on high ticket and not do minimum wage activities. But when you're in business by yourself, you are 100% responsible for everything. And coming out of school without any experience, this is, I would say, it's the recipe for total failure. Very, very few people would ever succeed in this. So don't be all starry-eyed saying, I'm going to have my own business as I graduate. Go and pay your dues for a minimum of 5 years and learn. And then you can make an intelligent decision about if that's the right thing for you. The lure is to be obviously part of a community, which is really lovely. It's the relationship with your consumer, but it's a very fluctuating salary. You have to multitask, and you have to thrive in doing your multitask, performing so many different things that, as I mentioned before, are minimum wage. The full responsibility of your business sits on your shoulders. And when you're not behind your chair, you have no income. And you have to be incredibly disciplined and self-motivated. So those are personality traits you have. So if you're not disciplined or motivated, and you don't like multitasking, but you want flexible hours, that's going to be a problem, a real problem, because you've got to have an incredible work ethic to show up. And when you're in a commission salon, very often the really high level commission salons, you will get a couple of sick days paid. You will have holiday paid for. When you're by yourself, if you're not standing behind your chair, you don't get paid. So you have to really be aware of that. Skills. You better do 5-star consultations, because the cost of getting a client, the cost of keeping that client, the cost of growing your business all sits on that. Very often you'll have people that leave a full commission salon, go on their own, and for the first year it's a honeymoon period. They love their freedom, they don't have the hassle, they have it exactly the way they want, and I get that. But what starts to happen after the first year is a 25% drop in income, and it just continues. And now this is an industry statistic that has been published. So you just have to be careful that when you're going in building, you've got to work incredibly hard on, first of all, the consultation skills. Obviously, you need technical skills. You probably will be a generalist. It's great to have a specialty. But again, will you get bored only doing hair extensions? Maybe, maybe not. If you love repetition, then you won't. If it was me, I would be bored after the first one. So you've got to understand, do you get better when you repeat? Or do you decline? What is it for you, Lindsay? Do you get better in repetition or worse?
I get better.
See, I get worse.
Do you?
Yeah.
No, I have to practice, but I love to be creative, but I have to practice too.
Yeah. Okay. So social media becomes so important. Marketing, of course, business skills, you've got to know your numbers, and you've always got to invest in continuous education. So that's an important thing. So we have created a lovely ebook, and I will give you the link to the ebook a little bit later on. But this ebook is going to tear down all that we're speaking right now. And we're also going to give you averages of what you can earn in this industry. So we're going to show you what a salon owner behind the chair is making. We're going to be showing you what a solopreneur is making. We've actually torn the whole thing apart so that you can really look at the map of that. So now when we look here, let's look at education for a moment. Some of you may be saying, yeah, Viv, I want to go into education. I don't want to be in a salon. But I'm going to say the same thing again. The salon, a commissioned salon, is your foundation for learning your skills. You're graduating with a license from school. Now you need to actually get the experience behind your chair, and it just takes time. And if you go to a good salon, you'll get good training, and that will be a great foundation for anything you want to do in education. So when you look at education, you've got your in-salon training, you've got training you can do for a local distributor. You've got training, obviously, for manufacturers, trade shows, hair shows, cosmetology school, of course, education on YouTube, and your online educational platforms like my platform, where you can actually build a product and be educating there. So the question is, what are the qualities and traits to be a 5-star teacher? And what can you financially make within this world? So let's look at personality and aptitude first of all. First of all, does anyone want to learn from a teacher who's not confident? No. Confidence is really important. Charisma and appeal, very, very important. Patience and compassion, extremely important. You got to be a role model. When people look at you in the educational platform, you should inspire them and you should give them hope of who they could be. A lifelong learner. Love sharing of knowledge, confident, tough love, and integrity. You want to be able to lean into a teacher, an educator. And I think out of all the businesses that there are in the world, I think it's probably the most noble thing to be a teacher, to educate people, to give, to help, to serve. I think it is one of the most beautiful, beautiful professions that there are. Skills. Strong technical skills and the ability to teach and explain and explain and explain and teach and explain. And being a visionary, you've got to be able to vision where are you going. You've got to be able to multitask. It's important to have academic background and creativity and very good communication skills. You know, people must enjoy the sound of your voice, that you have that beautiful energy and charisma. So what can you do with that once you've got that? Well, in our book, we show you what platform artists make, YouTubers make. We have broken the whole thing down in our research to tell you what kind of money you can make as an educator. It's fascinating, actually. So let's look at the world of film. This is where I was meant to go and didn't. Personality and aptitudes. Where do I live? On location away from home, 3 months plus. So a very dear friend of mine in the film industry, very, very successful career, worked with all of the major award-winning directors away from home so much of the time. Very hard to have a marriage. Bought this magnificent home in England, very rarely ever there. because her life was going from film to film to film. And when she became so desirable, working with Spielberg and all the greats, she became a hot commodity. And so there's a price you pay when you're in film because you're away from home a lot. There's the hurry up and wait. So you can be hurry, hurry, hurry. You got to do that and then wait and wait and wait. Lindsay, how would you be in that?
I did work on a film once.
And
and they had me diffuse somebody's hair, and then that was it. And then I stood around the whole day and just went back and fixed it real quick, like when they were ready for me. But I was so bored. I said, I'll never do that again.
Yeah. Very, very long hours. Graveyard shift is not unusual. Really long hours. Know when to be silent. That's a real big deal. Able to handle big personalities and egos, and incredible discipline. So that's really, really huge. So that's personality and aptitude, and it goes on. Got to be loving researching and understanding the character, the knowledge of history, to be able to understand all the nuances of a particular period of time and how to really interpret the hair for that, and research and research and research. Working with the best in the world, you've got to be okay, not feel intimidated by that. You absolutely have to be a team player. Attention to detail is critical. Creativity is important. It's a famine and feast world. While you're working, you're making money, and when you're not, you are not. You've got to understand lighting. You're part of the union, and that's very, very important. And we're going to come to the skills that you need. And this is the reason why I did not go off in this particular path. Creativity, tick. Technical skills, tick. Wigs, hairpieces, dress work, tick, tick, tick. I learned so much about the history of hair when I was at college. Knowledge of history of hair, tick. Consistency and continuity, fail. I would do the hairstyle excellent first time. Second time, it's like, really? I got to do it again. Got to do it again. Got to do it again and again. And I would get bored after the second time, which makes me really good for as doing freelance in terms of editorial, because it's always new. So my ability to recreate exactly how that character was from scene 1 to scene 10, when films are not shot in continuity, was where I was weakest. And I realized I would never survive. And then understanding script and story is really important. That would have been fascinating. Interpreting the costume and the fashion, especially if you're key, you're going to be like leading the whole design. Again, you've got to understand how the light is hitting the hair, and when fuzz is okay and when fuzz is not, hiding the pins. There's so many things. Able to copy a photo reference and understand the eye of the camera. How does the camera see that style? So these are skills that you learn, but if you don't have the aptitude, those skills will never thrive in that world. And I've been offered films and I've always said no, because I know exactly what Lindsay means. So let me ask our friends out there, any of them want to go into the film industry? It's incredible. It's an incredible world. It's fascinating, but it can be very, very challenging. And of course, there are those times when a celebrity will have their own hairdresser come on set. And so you won't be doing the lead. But there are so many other ways that you can play in this world. And if you're not sure about it, the best way of finding out is called assist. Assist, assist, assist. And it's the best way of doing that. We also explain in film the amount of money that you can make in the film industry. So that, again, is in our ebook. Theater. I grew up in the theater, so I very much know this world so well. You've got to be a night owl, at least being called in at 5 and then probably out by 10 o'clock. So you are a night owl. Tremendous repetition. The show does not change. It's the same show night after night after night after night. As a hair person, continuity. Working with celebrities and staying calm before jumping on the stage, able to handle drama off stage, open to feedback and criticism, hurry up and wait, exciting, but can get dull due to the repetition. You've got to be a team player. And of course, most of it today is union, so you have to play by the rules. Have you ever done theater? Lindsay?
No, I haven't. I
Yeah,
think it'd be fun, but it wouldn't be something I wanted to do all the time.
no, no. But what could be nice is to network with your local theatre, if you've got a local community theatre, to let them know that you'd be available should they have anyone that would need any kind of styling or whatever. So to put yourself out there, or let them know that if they ever need an assistant, that you're available. You just have to let the people who are in production know that you exist. And connect with these people if it's of interest to you, because that's how you're going to know. And
I was thinking that about the film industry too. Like there are little local people that are making films all the time, and that's a good way to get started with that.
yes,
too.
absolutely. And today it's so much easier by networking out there and finding out who's doing what. The other skills you need in theatre, of course, is the creativity, the technical skills, working with wigs and hair pieces. You'll very rarely cut hair. You'll very rarely color hair, because most of it is on wigs, and most of it's styling and maintaining the wigs. You have to have knowledge of the history of hair. You need to understand scale. How will that hairstyle look in the very back row up in the gods? How does it read? And how does it read at the front of the theatre? So understanding scale is very, very important. Understanding script and story so you can get into character. How to interpret the costumes and the fashion to make sure, again, it's scaled and in balance, and understanding how lighting, how that plays with the hair. And this is where I learned everything that I look at today. When I look at a style, I look at the balance and the scale. I don't just chop somebody off at the head. I'm looking at the total character, because everyone has their own story. Everyone has their own stage that they enter and exit. So this is the seat of where I am as a hairdresser. This to me is home. And I love the theatre, but I certainly wouldn't want to work on a production night after night after night. Freelance. This is my love. My love is to work in on shoots, whether they be doing a bridal story, as this one is, whether it's doing fashion, an ad campaign, whether you're shooting video, whether you're doing fashion runway, or as I mentioned, bridal. Freelance is a wonderful place to be. Now, freelance doesn't want humdrum. Freelance wants originality. So that's why I failed in film, but I would thrive in this world, because I don't ever want to do that. I couldn't do that hairstyle again, or that hairstyle again. I couldn't do them again. So having that creativity, but it's very important to be fast, to understand how to interpret a story, to be a team player. And where are you learning all of that? You are learning it in the salon. You're learning it as you're doing your minimum of 5 years at a salon, assisting, sweeping, shampooing, folding towels, being a team player, showing up and showing up and showing up, because you have a bigger picture. When I interviewed Akim Kanitsi, who's won the British Hairdressing Awards many times, his book was one of my hair heroes that you can see on my website. He said that when he started off, he was determined to be the best shampooer that there was. And then he wanted to be the best broom sweeper that he was. And he said at first, all he did was sweep hair. And he wanted to be the best one at sweeping hair, because then he knew he'd graduate to shampooing. And his whole mindset was, I want to be the best shampooer, the best broom sweeper, and then I want to be the best stylist. And what happened? He became one of the best in the world. That mindset that we started off with talking about never ever left him. It was like, oh, I'm shampooing again, I hate it. Oh, I got to sweep and I got to fold towels. Really? No, his vision was bigger. He knew that he had to pay his dues in order to get to where he wanted to go. So this whole world that we're looking at right now, time is money. I worked on jobs where the day was $300,000 for the day. And, you can't dilly-dally with a hairstyle, because the crew's waiting for you. You've got to be quick. You've got to produce the results. You've got to be able to do all of that. And that's what makes that world so special. So I know, Lindsay, you did the photographic workshop with us, and you did that beautiful, beautiful hairstyle. What did you learn from doing that? And what did you learn about that world?
That I love it. I love it. I did like that and Fashion Week this year, and it's so cool. It's so different. But that's what fills my heart and like recharges me. But I mean, I'm not going to make money off of that like right now, but I could eventually. So that's what's nice about having the salon and then going off and doing that stuff occasionally right now.
Yes. So salon base, critical. You've just graduated from school. Critical to understand you've got to be around fabulous, amazing, experienced hairdressers. And should you choose to go off and be independent, you would need to have so much experience and really know what you're tearing off to be independent and carry that huge responsibility. I have respect for every single one of these categories because they all come with their highs and they all have challenges. All of them do. But when you love it so much, the challenge is easy to overcome. So let's talk about freelance world, personality and aptitudes. It is famine or feast. You may get paid, you may not. It's hurry up and wait. There can be a lot of waiting time. You have to be a team player. It's not just about you and the hair. It's the collective that makes everything work together. And if you're self-focused, then you isolate yourself from the team and you won't produce the best results. Team is powerful. And while today everyone says, well, I want my independence, that's fine. I wouldn't be the hairdresser I am today if I had that mindset. I am the hairdresser today I am today because of the great hairdressers I've been around, how I've assisted and how I've worked up the ladder. And so when I'm on a set, I'm so grateful for the photographer and the photo assistant. I'm so grateful for the tech support that's there. I'm so grateful for the makeup artist and the makeup artist assistant, the fashion stylist, for the models, for the production people that are there, for catering who are there, for the props people who are there. And it goes on and on and on and on. All the people that bring the magic for it to happen. And that's what makes it so exciting. It really does. But it couldn't do it without that team. So you have to be a team player and not this solo thinking person. You've got inconsistent income, clearly. It's a nomadic lifestyle. You know, you're living out of suitcases. You know, you're going from studio to studio, airplane, truck, wherever you're going, you have a nomadic lifestyle. You're in hotels a lot, and you may do a little hair cutting and color, as styles are mainly temporary. So you're doing more dress work. So things I hear from some of the editorial people when they're fully in this world: oh, I really miss not cutting hair. Oh, I miss not coloring. I miss my clients. And many, even of the big guys that I know, they still have a little baby clientele on the side that they try and take care of. If they're in London or Los Angeles or New York, they keep them there. But a lot of the time, you know, if they're that busy, it's very difficult to play in two different worlds. This is a world that is so different from the salon, as is film, television, and theater. They're so different from each other. But the skill of doing hair, those skills are very important, but how they're seen is different. The client looking in the mirror as one person to serve, the camera lens looking at your work, and a crew giving their approval. Now you've got maybe 10 people, the art director, maybe the people from the ad agency, wherever, they've all got their opinions. So now you've got to please everybody, and it can get quite stressful in pleasing those people. So you've got to have this ability to be flexible, which is very important. So you've got to be open to opportunities and uncertainty. Now, if you're in the salon, you have certainty much more, because you have a clientele that's coming in and you have more of a sense of how your day is going to be flowing. And then every so often you'll get a new guest, and maybe another new guest, but there's more certainty in the salon. In this world, there's a lot of uncertainty. If you haven't worked with a crew before, it's a difficult job. There could be all sorts of things that make it very uncertain. You do have to work fast, but not sloppy. You've got to be cool and calm when things go wrong. They do. I've had my most heartbreaking times there. You know, what's interesting about this industry is it can be so rewarding. So rewarding. And it can be so heartbreaking. I've had some of the most heartbreaking things happen in this industry where I've cared so much, and when it went wrong, broke my heart, knocked my confidence. And the love of wanting to be better than I am is the only thing that got me up and said, right, fail forward. Here's another day. What did you learn from that? Don't have a pity party. Just get on with it, right? And knowing where you should play to your strengths. And when you know that there's other things around you that need to be done, it's not how do I do it, it's who can do it. That's how you really start to grow. Who can do this, right? And that's really powerful. So in the freelance world, you're often, if you're really good, you'll have an agency. And agencies will take a commission of what you're bringing in, but they can bring you the work. It's very competitive. Your relationship with the photographer is the captain of the ship. So when you start to build relationships, so you can do this right now in your local community, find out local photographers, find out if there's a photographer who does bridal that would love to shoot something not bridal. And you just go out there and test meaning no one's getting paid. You're out there, you're shooting for experience, for images that you can then use to promote who you are. And testing is a really great way of doing that. So you can all do that. Even if there's like a photographic school, an art school near you, you can start leveraging that. Assisting, of course, is huge. I love when people come to assist me. It's very obvious, those who've never been on a shoot before, because they're like a deer in headlights. And you're so busy telling them what to do that it takes your mind off of things. But a really good assistant, wow, they're worth their weight in gold. And they're at the highest level. There are people who are full-time assistants who get paid well, and they go all over the world with a major hairdresser. But let me tell you, you've got to be an incredible assistant, incredible, in order to get that. But someone's got to do it. Why can it not be you, right? So hustle and network. And I think our entire industry is about people lead to people, and you have to always be hustling. It's the nature of the game. How do you get more clients? How do you get more leads? How do you do that? How do you ask for a referral? So those are important things. And then, of course, being able to deal with celebrity. Celebrity can be challenging. I've had good, bad experiences in that world. So the skills, you've got to be creative. Absolutely. If someone brings out a certain dress and they say, right, what can we do to make this look fresh and modern? And you think, well, I don't know. And you've got to make that sometimes ugly dress look amazing with great hair. And then you do it, and then they go, no, we don't like that. Now you've got to quickly change it. No, we don't like that. We've got to quickly change that. It's like, what the hell do you want? Don't know, but we don't like what you're doing. Okay, point taken. So creative is important. Technical skills, definitely got to be skillful with working with wigs and hair pieces. All the editorial people that I know and freelance are very good in that. Knowledgeable about the history of hair, again, versatile hair skills. They understand a script, a story, because they could be working on a video, music video, lots of different things. They've got to be able to interpret fashion and costume. Again, you've got to understand the eye of the camera. How does that camera see? So in all of my training, even though I'm predominantly working with hairdressers in the salon, I'm saying you've got to photograph your work. The camera is your teacher. How the camera sees the hairstyle. That photograph can live forever. And your photos, your images should be promoting who you are. They're your brand, right? It's your voice. So understanding how the camera sees an image is really important. Lindsay, what did you learn from being in the photo shoot workshop in terms of how the camera was seeing the work?
It was amazing to witness the difference of what a amazing photographer can do with like certain angles and things. And then also a really huge thing that I learned from that was the lighting.
Yes.
He explained to us how to like place the lighting, and I've been kind of playing around with it, and it does like make a huge difference where the shine line is, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
Game changer.
Yeah, it is. And how to interpret the story of fashion and makeup. You know, you're interpreting the whole time, which is a very important thing. So when you are in this world and you're looking at, you know, your creativity, and Lindsay, you already said, you know, you love being in a studio, you love that whole creative process. This is what makes this so super exciting, that you can work with wigs, you can work with hair pieces, you can work with bold color, and you can make it come to life. So this is something I shot quite a few years ago, and the inspiration was Japanese street trend, and I wanted them to almost be like a cartoon. So it wasn't just that I was just going to do, you know, the hair that I was doing. It was the collective of how does the fashion work for this, and how does the makeup work to make the whole thing come to life. So again, you're just looking at a moment in time, but it's all the years and years and years and years and years of practice to get to this place. So all of the basics, all the foundational principles are so important. The way we backcomb, the way we pin, I mean, all of it is so, so important. So at the end of the day, I would say the foundation work is the most important part of this. Knowing your foundation, knowing your basics, and the more you work on your basics, the easier this stuff becomes. What would you say to that, Lindsay?
I agree. If you have a strong foundation, you can do a lot of things that you don't necessarily need to like know how to do them, because you have the technical skills, like the basics.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so today, if you're saying, well, I'm a blonde specialist, that's great. But in 5 years' time, will you be so bored that that's all you're doing? And then what happens when that's not popular anymore? I mean, what are your thoughts about that, Lindsay?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like all these hairdressers that specialize in balayage. It's not going to be popular forever, and then they're not going to know how to do the next thing, and it's a sad story.
Yes,
You
it
have to be
is.
versatile.
Yes, indeed. And so what's really important, again, I wanted to mention, we said before, 85% of cosmetology graduates quit within 2 years. So tonight, with all of you watching, if you know some youngsters out there that feel they need to get direction in their career so they're not that statistic, this is your chance to help and serve somebody else. So we're going to give you the link to this in a moment. Let's talk about influencers, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. I've been around a lot of influencers. I know how there are many that don't make any money. And there are some, if they get a deal with a manufacturer, then they do. But they literally live on their phones. They are reposting, the repetition of reposting and posting every single day, the continuity, and engaging. I mean, it's always about, you've got to keep going and keep going and keep going. Be able to handle failure and decline in interest is huge. Be able to reinvent. So you've got to love, obviously, the platform you're playing on and the amount of work that there is in order to build. And today it's much slower than it used to be. So your aptitudes, being able to manage the negative comment, an aptitude or a personality trait. You love to get free gifts. That motivates you. For some people, that wouldn't mean anything. Like, what's the big deal in getting a curling iron? I just spent the last 20 hours posting, and I could have gone out and bought it. You know, but you have to be very patient for the big payoff. Endorsements and the endorsement income is very interesting. A contract with a brand or a manufacturer is also very, very interesting. So yes, there are those who grind away for a long, long, long time, and they can get endorsements, which is an income situation, and they can get a connection with a brand. So that can happen. And the question is whether your skills transfer outside of the social world. Sometimes someone gets a huge contract and they step on a stage and they die a death because it's not their platform. So you've got to be very, very strategic as to where you're going to go. Obviously, the skills that you learn, letting your creativity flow, your technical skills, you've obviously got to be technology savvy. You've got to be good at copywriting and telling your story, marketing, sales, and great on camera. These are skills that you can develop, and they take time. And you've got to love that whole world. Otherwise, it can be very nauseating. And as I mentioned before, the book that we'll give you access to breaks down which all of these different professions within our profession make financially. And it's very, very interesting when you look at the money that can be made within that world. So we're going to wrap this baby up with the corporate world. I know a fabulous lady who graduated from cosmetology school, and she went on to become the CEO of a very large product company called Joico. And Sarah literally went through the ranks from social media, PR to sales, and she climbed all the way up to becoming the CEO of a company. So for some people, rather than quit the industry because your feet are hurting, you don't want to stand behind your chair, there's a whole other world out there. So instead of quitting, say, right, how can I redirect my talents? I like the industry. So could I go into product development? Could I go into social media? I love all these reels. I want to do it for somebody else. And so could you just be a social media expert? Could you go into sales, marketing? Could you also be head of education? So in the corporate world, there are incredible opportunities, especially when you have an interest in one of these subjects and you understand hairdressing. So the corporate world can be really quite fascinating. So what you get in terms of the skills, well, you're going to get a regular paycheck, you're going to have health insurance, you're going to have structure, you're going to have rules and guidelines to follow, and you can climb up the corporate ladder. So I wouldn't call these skills actually, but they are features of that particular world. And for some people, they thrive. I did for a few years work in the corporate culture as the artistic director. I hated every second of it. I had huge amount of money to play with on productions. I got a huge salary, huge, and I hated the constraints and the rigidness of the corporate world. I couldn't thrive in that at all. So, you know, the skills, you've got to be a team player. You've got to enjoy routine. It's much more academic, and you've got to have, I believe, a higher level of education in your specialty areas to thrive, which all can be learned. So those are kind of the places where we are. So now that we've gone through this whole world, let me show you how I can help you. So first of all, if you want to download, take a screen capture, you can be actually getting our book, which is, it gives you all the statistics as to what each of these professions bring in financially as an average. Lindsay, were you surprised by that when you saw the financials?
Yes, it was interesting. Some of them were a lot lower than I would have thought.
Yes, yes, yeah. And of course, when we looked at the average, you can go below and above, clearly. But it gives you a baseline that is out there in terms of what the potential is within our industry. So for those of you who are keen to have me help you, the Hair Designer Program is one of my products that will give you a very well-rounded experience. Lindsay's going through it for the second time. What would you say about the program, Lindsay?
It's amazing. I like it because it like keeps me in check. So every single week I'm working on face shape, consultations, the shape, step back. Like I'm thinking about all those things. And because I'm doing it weekly, I'm growing every single week.
Yeah, yeah. I actually realize now I'm growing a lot more than I ever thought was possible. The great thing about our program, for those of you who don't know, there is videos you watch every week. You then come to the live, which is so much fun because during the live, I'm watching you work, I'm watching you create, I'm watching you design, which makes it super exciting. And we see Lindsay there with long hair. I love it. You see yourself with long hair?
Well, yeah, and I'm drinking a coffee. Every time I see it, I'm like, oh God.
Then you post your work in the forum where we give you feedback. And if you're interested in wanting to learn about our designer program, you can certainly book a call. Our next program starts January 6th. and we're opening our entries right now, so you can actually do that. And in the download, there is also the link to the ebook. So if you want to grab that link, you will be fascinated by what people are making in our industry. So please do have a go at downloading this. It's a beautiful book we put together. Valeria and Lindsay were very helpful in pulling this whole piece together. And I just wanted to give you the overview as to what is truly possible in our career. What we've looked at is your life as in the salon, the commission salon, a solopreneur. We've looked at film and television as one of the same, really. Film and television, theatre, the freelance world, and of course, the corporate world. So we've covered 6 avenues that are possibilities for you. We've also divided them into aptitude and personality, what you're naturally born to, as well as the skills that you'll need to learn. And I just want to say to you that whatever the path is, be true to yourself, because you're going to spend 75% of your waking life working. You're going to spend more time with colleagues than you will be with your loved ones. So your career decision is very important. And don't be a snowflake. You've got to toughen up and be able to take the punches, because they will come. You can be so good and so loving and so compassionate, and someone can come and just be so difficult. It's life. Challenges that we're faced. I've had some of the greatest experiences of my life in this career. And I've also had some experiences that have been heartbreaking that I recovered from. And when I look back, I say, wow, that was a powerful lesson. And I promise you, when the client freaks out, or when it goes wrong, or when you melt hair and it burns, and the model who just won a cosmetic campaign's now got burnt hair. You either learn or you don't. And if you can learn, you move forward and you go, right, tick that off the box. I did something, I learned, right? But if you don't learn, if you blame other people, then you're living in the poverty mindset. So regardless of the path that you take, do your own research. Download the book that we just suggested. Here it is. There's the book. Download that so that we will give you a really nice guide. I'd love to know what you think about it, right? And we wish you the greatest success. Please don't be a statistic. 85% of hairdressers leaving our craft after 2 years is very sad. And the statistics carry on. After 5 years, there's another huge drop and another huge drop. And yeah, I seem to surround myself with hairdressers who've been in the business 30, 40, 50 years that love it. And when you love it, it is awesome. It's awesome what you can do, the creativity, the results, that you can make such a difference in people's lives. But let's not be deceived by social media reels thinking, oh, twist, 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 boom, boom, done. It's not like that. So next weekend, we're doing a 2-day boot camp in dressing hair. And we'll be going over some foundational things, and we'll build along the way. And we will not be doing what you see on Pinterest, twist, twist, done in 15 seconds. That won't be it, because it's not real. We'll break things down. We'll explain things so that we make it what it really, really is. And how foolish to go out into the world thinking, yeah, I can open my own salon straight from school, when you've got no mentors, no guidance there. What happens when it all goes wrong? You'll be so alone. Now, I'm not saying you couldn't do it in 5 years. And I know we've got some friends here who are solopreneurs, and they will say, yeah, Viv, you're right. It's a lot of damn hard work. And they are very talented hairdressers with a lot of experience. So we don't want you to fail. We want to set you up to succeed. Lindsay, what would be your closing message to our friends today?
Yeah, I think it's just so important to invest in yourself. And especially when you're first starting out, have a mentor and a coach that can pull you up. That way you're not out on your own. And and you can do, like she said, you can do that eventually, but you have to have a good foundation before you're ready. I mean, I run a salon and I have a business degree, and it is not easy. So I can't imagine doing it with no education.
No.
No way.
Well, I just want to thank Misty, Sarah, Kim, and all of our friends who are here today. I want to thank you. Hopefully you found some of this valuable. I guarantee that my friends watching were never given this overview of the industry, the traits that and skills it requires, and in the book that you're going to download, knowing what financially you can make in each category. Remember, design your lifestyle first and reverse the career into it. And if you want to go home to your husband every night, I do not suggest editorial, TV, film, because you'll be away from home more than you're not. If you have no desire to be in a relationship and you want to be married to your career, go for those careers, because they will gobble up your life, right? Yeah. So, you have to determine whether it's going to be a career or a job. A job is a means to an end. You're gathering a paycheck. And I can think of much easier professions to gather a paycheck. But if you love the design aspect and you just want to be better and better at your craft, then you're in the right place. So now find the right avenue within here. And for the salon owners watching, if you have a little fantasy about, well, I'd love to do a little bit of that, let's call that a hair hobby. And maybe once a year you do a photo shoot. Maybe once a year you go and assist somebody that works on film or television, and you can sneak in and just be, just there supporting. When you put it out to the universe, you have an interest in something. I believe that God, spirit, universe doesn't put a desire into our hearts that comes from your heart, unless it's something that you're either destined or meant to do, because it came from your heart. So follow it, explore, and remember, if you spend too much time on social media, all you're doing is watching somebody else's life. Watch your own, because that's the only one you have. Lindsay, thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you.
I'm going to get ready for my next little gig. We're going to do haircuts in a little while. And if you're watching, if you want to come tonight, 7 p.m., we are doing a look and learn with Rosemary and myself, and we're going to be doing a really fun little haircut. So if anyone want to join, that's where we'll be. Lindsay, thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Oh. Thank you so much, guys. Take care and bye for now.